All right, we're going to cover some general information for our practice exams and for the BC exam. It's just a lot of housekeeping information, but it's information I feel like you need to know so that you're clear on what the expectations are, and I don't have time in class to go over it with you because when I see you next time, we're going to start practice exam 1 and I want you to be just ready to go for that. So I want to remind you, all of this is cut and pasted from the College Board's website for the Calculus BC homepage. And so I want to remind you, we're chasing a 4 or a 5. It's the only two scores that are going to get you college credit for Calc 1 and Calc 2. Now, a score of 3 is a passing score, but most colleges will not give you credit for Calc 1 and Calc 2 with a score of 3. So we're shooting for a 4 or 5. We've worked really hard all year long, really, to get ourselves ready at a 5 level, just in case on the day of the exam we're having a bad day or we're sick or something bad happened. Even on a bad day, we could make a 4. So that's always been my goal, so hopefully that's where you feel like you are. Now, the Calculus BC exam will also have something attached to it called an AB subscore. And so the AB subscore is basically your score on the AB or Calc 1 concepts that were contained in the BC exam. It's roughly 60% of the exam. And based on that 60%, you'll be given an AB subscore, and they'll treat it as if you took the AB test. So if, let's say, you had a bad day, let's say you made a 3 on your BC score. If your AB subscore was a 4 or a 5, that would be the situation where you would get credit for Calc 1 as well. So the AB information is going to be given to you when you call in July or when you log in July. They're trying to do it online and get your score. Make sure that you listen carefully or that you get your AB subscore as well as just your BC score. All right, so that's going to be important to you. Calculator. Remember, there are 4 things that your calculator is allowed to do without you writing any justification other than just the basic setup on the paper. You can plot a graph of the function. You can find zeros of the function, but now you have to say f of x equals 0 or g of x equals 0. You have to justify what you've written there, but you don't have to actually do the algebra or the calculus to get that answer. You can calculate a derivative of a function at a given value. Again, f prime of 3 equals 4. You would have to write the setup that your answer, was f prime of 3 and so on. Or you can calculate a definite integral without having to show the antiderivative function or your work for the fundamental theorem of calculus. But you do have to show the definite integral. So I just wanted to clarify that. Remember that when you're taking your practice exams. So the time allotted for the AP Calculus exam is 3 hours and 15 minutes. The multiple choice section of the exam consists of 45 questions, and you have 105 minutes. There are 2 parts. Part A has 28 questions. There is no calculator allowed on the first 28 questions, and you are given 55 minutes for those 28 questions. Part B, the second part of the multiple choice section, is 17 questions, and you're given 50 minutes. And this is the calculator allowed. Here they have graphing calculator required, but it's the calculator allowed questions. Remember me saying of these 17 questions, there's going to be quite a few of them that are going to be theory questions where your calculator is not going to do you any good at all. But look at the multiple choice answers. If they are decimal approximations, then you know you're definitely going to need to use your calculator to answer that problem, and make sure you do. Save yourself valuable time, because this part of the test, the multiple choice part of the test, is a lot about time management. Here's how the next 4 weeks are going to go in my classroom. Unless things change, either Professor Reddish or I have to be gone for some reason. If we're here every day, this is how it's going to go. On Monday, we will begin 3 hours and 15 minutes worth of exam. That's going to be split up over 2.5 class days. So Monday, we'll be able to complete the 28 questions on the no calculator portion of the multiple choice exam. So you, every Monday morning, will take that part of the test and turn it in, and you won't see those 28 questions again. Then, after 55 minutes, we'll have 25 minutes left in class, and so we'll take the second part of the multiple choice, the calculator aloud. Now, it's a 50-minute test, but we're only going to have 25 minutes in class to work on it. So you will be handed these 17 questions. You will have half of the time allotted for all 17 questions at the end of your Monday class period. I am fully aware that you will be able to see all 17 questions. I'm fully aware that you're going to go home Monday night and you're going to look through your notes and you're going to rewatch videos and all that kind of stuff. That's fine with me. The practice exams are extremely challenging. You will need to study and review what you have forgotten. It's still going to be really hard for you to score well on these exams, even though you get to go home and study in the middle of them. So when you come back Tuesday, you're going to have the same 17 questions, and you'll have the last 25 minutes. And then you'll turn those in, and you won't see those again. Next, we'll do the 2 calculator allowed free response questions, and you'll have all 30 minutes that are allotted for that. So you'll get given those questions on Tuesday once we finish the multiple choice. I'll give you the 2 free response questions. After 30 minutes, remember this is how we've always done it, you get to keep those questions. All that happens after 30 minutes is you lose your calculator, you've got to put it away, and you're given the 4 additional questions. Now, there are 60 minutes allotted for these 4 additional questions. We're only going to have 25 minutes left of the class period on Tuesdays. So you're going to get to see all 6 free response questions on Tuesday. Again, I'm well aware you're going to go home that night and you're going to look up specifically what was on those free response questions in order to be able to answer them when you come back in on Wednesday. Because on Wednesday, you will be given all 6 free response questions. But remember, 2 of them are going to be calculator active, and you're in the part of the exam where you've lost your calculator. So when you come back on Wednesday, we'll finish up that 60 minutes. We'll have 35 minutes left to finish up. You'll have all 6 free response questions, but you won't have your calculator. At the end of that 35 minutes, then we will have completed 3 hours and 15 minutes that we started on Monday, and we will have completed the practice exam. At that point, we'll have 45 minutes left in class, and we'll start grading the multiple choice part of the practice exam. You will be grading your exam, all right? You'll finish grading it, all of it, on Thursday and Friday. And in doing that, you're going to complete an individualized list of calculus concepts that you'll take home over the weekend, hopefully, and study so that you score better on your next practice exam. This is the secret to my success. As soon as I started doing this is when my pass percentages went through the roof. So this is the secret to making a 5. Please do this. All right? Go home with your individualized list. Go through the concepts that you don't know and relearn them. Make sure you know them. All right? This is what's going to get you that 5 that we're after. So if you miss class for any reason, school-related, sick, whatever, you have to come in outside of class to make up that 80 minutes. Whatever part of the practice exam that you missed, I have to have you outside of class. I can't have you making up a test or a part of a practice exam while we're grading. That is not the whole purpose to this. My philosophy on this is I'm willing to give up Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday in order to micromanage you actually taking these practice exams for the benefit that you're going to gain on the rest of Wednesday, all day Thursday, and all day Friday. So in my estimation, the grading is much more important than the actual taking of the exam is. The secret to getting yourself ready for the second semester final exam and for the BC exam is to be here on grading days. If you miss taking a practice exam, then you got to come in outside of class and make it up. It's unavoidable. The process of you grading your practice exams gives you a unique perspective into what an AP reader does during the reading each summer. You will literally, as we go through practice exam after practice exam, start to think like an AP reader. You'll have no doubt as to what your free response work should look like and how you're going to communicate on paper the fact that you know the calculus involved in answering the problem. That's how you get the free response points. This is the time of year that I begin to get really hard to deal with if you miss a lot of class. So the moral to this story is don't miss class. If you have to, you have to. You're not going to fail, but you're also not helping yourself get credit for College Calc 1 and College Calc 2. The days we spend grading are much more important than the days we spend taking the practice exams. So just because there's not an exam going on doesn't mean you need to miss class. All right, so here are the instructions cut and pasted from the College Board website for the multiple choice part of the exam. So we're not going to take time when I hand you the practice exams. We're not going to take time to go through the instructions. We're going to get right to the test. We're going to save all that valuable time spent on answering questions. And this is what I want done on your final exam, and this is definitely what I want done on the BC exam. Don't waste 2 seconds reading instructions. These are the instructions that will show up on the BC exam. No changes. So, section 1 of the exam is the multiple choice part of the exam. The instructions tell you, solve each of the following problems using the available space for scratch work. After examining the form of the choices, decide which is the best of the choices given and fill in the corresponding circle on the answer sheet. No credit will be given for anything written in the exam book. Do not spend too much time on any one problem. That's it. There's your instructions. Now there are 2 sections or 2 parts to the first section of the exam. Part A is that 28 question, no calculator allowed part. Here are the instructions specifically for that part. Unless otherwise specified, the domain of a function f is assumed to be the set of all real numbers x, for which f is a real number. The inverse of any trig function f can be indicated using the inverse notation, f to the inverse, the little superscript -1, or equivalently with a prefix arc, like arcsine, arctan, arccosine. That means sine inverse, tan inverse, cosine inverse. For the calculator active 17 questions, the exact numerical value of the correct answer does not always appear among the choices given. When this happens, select from among the choices the number that best approximates the exact numerical value. That's an interesting one. Unless otherwise specified, the domain of a function is assumed to be all real numbers and the inverse notation as well. So I'm going to stop here on this video. There'll be another video, so make sure and look for that.